Bitcoin. What is the world's most valuable currency today? There's still a lot of fear about Bitcoin, and I remember when people feared the internet. A girl met a guy on the internet and she got killed. Nobody wanted anything to do with the internet. It was a good place to get yourself killed. Stay away from it. A decade later, people can't imagine not meeting others online. How else would one do it, one might ask? You have Facebook, Twitter, Meetup, and many other social networks to bring people together based on common interests. Oh, and there's LinkedIn. Bitcoin is in the early stages of development. And already it's the most valuable currency in the world. Here is a list of the top 54 currencies of the world, and Bitcoin is so far out in front that none of the other currencies can touch it. The closest one has a value of just 1% of the value of Bitcoin. That alone is amazing, but I just discovered something that made me laugh hysterically, and I want to share it with you. It's funny because it's so shocking. I was listening to Jeffrey Tucker giving a recent speech in Australia, and he said something which triggered an idea for me. I turned off the video and ran to my list of 54 currencies, thinking, what if I added the value of the top 54 world currencies? How would that sum compare with the value of Bitcoin in terms of US dollars? Take a look at my spreadsheet. These currencies are in order from most valuable to least valuable. The first in line after Bitcoin is the Kuwaiti dinar, and it's at $3.43. The Bahraini dinar is next at $2.65. The Omani rial follows with a value of $2.60. I'm rounding these off to the nearest cent, you may have noticed. The Latvian lat is $1.75. Here's the British pound finally at $1.57. And finally, the euro at $1.23. What's that? A total so far of about $13.21. What if I added all the others? Would that total surpass the value of Bitcoin? You won't believe it. Bitcoin is the most valuable currency in the world, and if you add up all 54 others, you get a grand total of just $24.51. This is not a joke. I'm serious. That's not even 10% of the value of just one Bitcoin. Hello? Hello? Bitcoin is worth more than 10 times as much as all the fiat currencies in the world combined. I have never heard anyone say this about Bitcoin before, but as you can see, it's true. Let me say it again. Bitcoin is worth more than 10 times as much as all the fiat currencies in the world combined. So if you fear Bitcoin, get over it. Take the value of each world currency in US dollars and add them up and see what you get. I'm not making this up. Here is my spreadsheet. I'm the only person in the world who did this. All the media is trying to kill the most valuable currency in the world, and I'm showing you that it's worth 10 times as much as all the other currencies combined. You never heard any media reporter say that? Did you hear any Bitcoin experts say it? All right then. You would need at least 100 of the second most valuable currency in the world to equal the value of just one Bitcoin. That's amazing. You heard it here first. Did you see the formula I used in my spreadsheet? The function says sum all items from B4 to B58. That's what that means. Sum parentheses B4 colon B58 end parentheses. It tells the spreadsheet to add up all the numbers in a column. The fiat currencies of the world are not worth much. Bitcoin already has them all beat by a long shot. Do you think the world is ready for Bitcoin? It's a decentralized currency that can't be counterfeited. That means no inflation. no rising prices. Now, is that what you want? Are you sure? You might be more comfortable with a currency that is totally under the control of parasitic bankers who live free while you work, and every year prices are higher, and they tell you that what you want is inflation, higher prices. No, Mr. Cheater Misleader, we don't need higher prices, so stop with the bullshit and propaganda. Read my lips. We don't like parasites. You got that? Don't try to sell us on inflation. We know it means higher prices. We might be dumb for all the chemicals you're using on us, but we're not quite that dumb yet. I'm asking, why do old people need higher prices at the stores? Doesn't it make more sense for old people to want lower prices so their retirement check buys both food and medicine? This spreadsheet and the analysis I have just done tells you one thing about governments. They think we're stupid and they don't know how to run anything successfully. All fiat currencies in the world are just about worthless. What we need is less government, much less. How about 99.999% less? We, the people, can do better on our own. Bitcoin came from our side, not government's side. Internet money comes along in the form that we call cryptocurrencies. And in very little time, that decentralized currency, with its unique ability to be divided into 10 to the minus 8 pieces, or 100 million parts, unlike the dollar, which can only go into 10 to the minus 2 divisions, or 100 pennies. And Bitcoin is tied to no government, no central bank. Bitcoin is absent of parasites feeding off us as their host, and there is no counterfeiting possible. People have grabbed Bitcoin like it's the last gallon of water on the shelf after a disaster. The disaster I'm speaking of is government, the Fed, and the worthless fiat currency that has value only because there's a gun to our heads to accept it as legal tender for all debts, public and private. Meanwhile, the Fed is counterfeiting the nation's currency, destroying it all over the world. On the other side of the totalitarian fence, we have Bitcoin, a decentralized currency that has real value because it is designed to be somewhat scarce. Today is January 2nd, 2015, and there are now 8 million Bitcoin wallets on computers all over the world, each a node for Bitcoin, N-O-D-E, each a node for Bitcoin when the time is right for revolution. We are undergoing a currency revolution. Government fiat versus a decentralized currency, and Bitcoin is the leading representative with a 100-to-1 value over the best fiat and a 300-to-1 lead over the world's reserve currency, the US dollar. And I want to point out that the US dollar is not a dollar as defined by the US Constitution, which includes real money in the form of silver. The US dollar is a Federal Reserve note today, and what is a note? It's a promise. What is the promise? That you will get $1. Real money? No, just a Federal Reserve note. It's a circular definition, which takes you back to nothing. You're holding a piece of toilet paper, so go wipe your ass with it. Have a nice day. Out of 7.3 billion people, just 8 million have downloaded the Bitcoin wallet. Are you one of them, or are you waiting for the TSA to get their finger out of your ass so you can get on the fucking airplane? 8 million Bitcoin wallets. Some of us are way ahead of the rest of you. Better check. Maybe it's your own finger up your ass, not the Gestapo TSA. Do the math. That means that 99.89% of the world still does not have a Bitcoin wallet. People ask, where do you get a Bitcoin wallet? Just type in Bitcoin wallet into any search engine and read all the reviews before you download one. Some are put out by criminals intending to steal your Bitcoins. You can only trust a few sources, so be circumspect. For the light beer drinkers, that means look before you leap, asshole. Why do you drink that watered down beer? Do you enjoy peeing? Get real. How does one buy Bitcoin? I'll defer to one of the experts, Roger Ver, V-E-R. He said that Coinbase is the easiest way to acquire Bitcoins. Do you have to buy an entire Bitcoin? I guess if you can put part of $1 into a vending machine, you can buy part of a Bitcoin, can't you? We have never had this capability before to this degree. I said earlier that a Bitcoin is divisible by 10 to the minus 8 power, or 100 million parts. You can buy just one Satoshi if you want. It will cost you $315 divided by 100 million, or about 0.0000315 In other words, 1 cent will buy 3,174 Satoshis. So how many Satoshis can you afford? $1 buys 317,400 Satoshis. You want 1,000,000 Satoshis? It's a little over $3 for 1,000,000 Satoshis. For $3, you can become a millionaire in Satoshis. Give a friend a gift of 1,000,000 Satoshis, and then ask your friend to buy your dinner, and you'll come out way ahead. In the 1970s, I used to hang out with a comedian in Chicago, and when you go out at night, you always wear a three-piece suit and try to feign success. So my comedian friend used to say, "Yeah, I got a lot of money, so what?" And he had a gift of gab. He could keep girls out talking on streets at 3 o'clock in the morning in the winter for half an hour. If I was running with him today, and if I was in my 20s instead of my 60s, we would probably be joking about telling girls that we bought 1,000,000 Satoshis. It's a unit of Bitcoin. And this would falsely imply that we had a lot of money. And of course, if a woman is going to pick a mate, she wants a guy with a lot of dough, so that her kids can go to the best schools and so on, so that she can live in the best neighborhood, drive the best cars, and have no problem paying all the bills. And she can afford luxury items, so when she cheats on you, she can wear the best clothes and the best smelling perfumes. Sorry to be so brutally honest with you, but that's the fact, Jack. That's what marriage is all about. Romance lasts a year, and you're lucky if it lasts that. So you have to develop spiritual love, and hopefully that will last a lifetime. The thing is, everyone wants to have 1,000,000 Satoshis because it's Bitcoin. Everyone wants to become a Satoshi millionaire. Who knows, one day 1 Satoshi might be enough for you to buy a house. With a fixed supply and unlimited demand, the value of 1 Satoshi approaches infinity, so don't laugh. Anyway, I'm still laughing about the value of all 54 currencies, totaling just $24.51. I was expecting at least $200 after adding up the value of the first few. It's humiliating for the total value to be just $24.51. Wasn't Manhattan purchased for $24 in trinkets? This is a testament to how clever governments really are. They couldn't be more stupid if they went to school for it and got a PhD in stupidity. The value of the fiats at $24.51 tells you how important Bitcoin is at $315 today. And I'll say one last thing before I go. When money begins flowing into Bitcoin, price is going to go up faster than any investment in the world because there's a limited supply of Bitcoins. Most of them are already released. Some who are holding Bitcoins are hoarding them, and demand will push the price higher than you can imagine, much faster than you think. And a big crisis is coming for all fiats. The value of fiat currency will go to zero as the value of Bitcoin soars, and everyone who is currently holding fiat will make the switch all at once. That's when the price of Bitcoin will soar into the stratosphere, and for all the light beer drinkers, that means way the fuck up there. So stop pissing your life away, asshole. You can tell that the fiats are about to return to their true value of zero because every government in the world is printing their currency to extinction. And smart money will eventually flee as soon as they get a fucking clue. All that money has to go somewhere for safety. Right about then, the fascist Nazi government will steal all the people's gold, and they will make you bring it to them so they don't have to expend any energy. Parasites don't like to expend their own energy. They like to have you do all the work and then tap into your system and drain you for all you've got. The US dollar will become worthless so fast that prices will rise 100% annually. That's what Robert Wiedemer said, and he predicts unemployment rates of 50% and a stock market drop of 90%. When government takes the gold, they can give owners of gold anything they want. What are you going to do about it? They have armies, they have guns, and they like to kill people just for fun. They have fighter jets, and what do you have? You have light beer, now go pee. They have prepared to take it with executive orders, and you will be as defenseless as those who are trying to get on an airplane when the TSA puts their finger up your ass. They can arrest you, torture you, and you have no rights left under the U.S. Constitution. They have all been taken away. There is no rule of law and no due process anymore. We are at the mercy of a government that has no mercy on anyone. Now you see why Bitcoin is worth 100 times as much as the currency that finishes in second place. Now you see why all the other fiat currencies total only $24.51 compared with Bitcoin, which is at about $315 right now. Don't look back on what it was in November of 2013, because that run-up was volatility, and Bitcoin is so new that it is still volatile, and you're going to see such climbs in price. The next rally might be $5,000 for one Bitcoin. I don't know. Here's what we do know. Those who own and control the money in the world have fixed things to favor them. They manipulated LIBOR rates. They kept gold and silver prices low by shorting them with paper promises. I imagine that they are buying Bitcoins and selling them cheap to keep the price low. They buy them on places like localbitcoins.com. They pay through the nose. If they buy a Bitcoin privately for $1,000 and sell it for $311, the new price of Bitcoin is just $311, not $1,000, because the $1,000 price is quickly covered up by the price of $311. You might say, but they are losing almost $700. No. You are losing almost $700 because they can print money for free. They can inject billions of US dollars into the world economy, and it costs them nothing. It waters down the dollars that you and the Chinese are holding, and the Chinese don't like this. They're fighting back in a big way, buying US land, buildings, and in case you didn't read about it, they now own J.P. Morgan's headquarters in New York. I listened to Jim Willey, and he knows more than I will ever forget. Forget what? Never mind. Go back to work. File your 1040s. Do you know how the Fed works? They create money on a ledger, and it costs them nothing. They don't care what they pay for one Bitcoin, because they own the U.S. printing press, and they can counterfeit money all fucking day long. They take those Bitcoins to the marketplace and sell them cheap to keep the price low. But one day a big hedge fund will realize what they are doing, realize that the price is artificially low, and we're going to see the same thing happen that happened with gold. The Chinese are wisely buying all they can at artificially low prices, and that's exactly what I'd do. Russia, Brazil, and India are doing the same. This is like buying commodities below the cost to manufacture them. In the marketplace, gold is worth much more than the COMEX price, and COMEX doesn't have any gold. That's why the spot price is more expensive. This is called backwardation, and it's a symptom of a shortage of real gold. This is the sound you hear just before you hear kaboom! If the Federal Reserve and all the big banks want to push the price of gold down, these BRIC nations will just buy it all and hoard it. Like I said, COMEX has no gold left. If you're holding paper gold, it's toilet paper, so wipe your ass with it. We have been in gold backwardation for 4 years. The spot price of gold is higher than the future price, and that means crises. It means shortage of gold, and the artificially low price is the reason. And the reason they're shorting gold has to do with derivatives. And as I said earlier, this is the sound you hear just before you hear kaboom! It's suicide to put out so much paper gold to keep the price low, but the big banks have your bank deposits and the Bankruptcy Reform Act of 2005 to protect them. Those derivatives are secured with your bank deposits. If a bankruptcy is forced because the liabilities far exceed their assets, big banks will just seize all bank deposits. Your cash will be gone. Your pension, gone. Your retirement check will not be coming in the mail. That's why they rammed the Bankruptcy Reform Act through under Dummy Bush, the one who, while puppet president, did a Nazi salute in front of the American flag. Someone should arrest his ass and give him a Nuremberg trial, because many people would like to see his ass dangling from the end of a rope, and on the gallows his entire crime family as well. One day the government forces will come to your house and demand your gold, or they will just send you a letter which says, quote, "We see here that you bought some gold and we want it. Bring it to a Federal Reserve Bank within 24 hours. Unquote. What are you going to do? Large countries can protect themselves from gold theft. But what are you going to do? Russia has nuclear weapons. China has nuclear weapons. They can buy gold and defend against theft. But the Saudis have no military to defend them, and they have already lost their gold. It was stolen at the bank in Switzerland, where it was stored safely. There isn't any such thing as safely when governments are this corrupt. They can order you to turn over your sons and daughters just as easily. What are you going to do? The Ukrainians lost their gold. Iraq lost their gold. Libya lost their gold. Germany trusted the Fed with their gold, and now they can't get it back. When the Federal Reserve steals gold, guess who has to pay for it? You do. We, the people, have to cover the thefts of a private cartel of bankers. They stole our gold from Fort Knox, too. We don't have anything other than gold-plated tungsten, so the idea of a gold-backed currency is not possible for us. We're going to have to trade with RMBs or Russian rubles. They might be backed with gold. The Federal Reserve is a thief, a parasite, and a war criminal. They steal gold wherever it is. There was gold in the World Trade Center buildings, and it vanished. The Kuwaitis had about $350 billion, I've read, and the Bush administration told the Kuwaitis that it vanished. Austria trusted the U.S. with their gold, and they can't get it back. Japan is being forced to print money under orders from those who own the USA. If you buy gold, all you need is an army and some nuclear weapons, and you might be able to keep it. But if the government orders you to turn over your gold to the Federal Reserve as they did in 1933 under FDR, you better do so or you will go to jail. A New York lawyer went to jail in the 1930s when he failed to turn in gold that he kept in a safety deposit box at a bank. I think his name was Campbell. I read it on Wikipedia under gold confiscation. Bitcoin is creating a new kind of currency, one that can't be seized. I'm sure they will arrange it so they can, but they're going to have to torture you to get you to give up your password. What people earn they should keep, and they should fire the federal government and all the treacherous agencies, because we don't need any of them anymore. We need to get out of the burning building, and there is a red exit door marked secession. Go through there. There is freedom on the other side, and the rule of law for everyone once again. Whatever you do, don't go for the superstate, because that's the wrong direction. That will take your butt right into the hottest part of the building, and you'll burn up there. Move in the opposite direction of the superstate. If we secede, we can decide if we want to allow the UN to tell us when to go to war. Personally, I don't like war. I think war is a crime against both sides of the war because the only winner is the one who instigates war, so they can lend both sides money and drain both countries. I think war is profitable for bankers, and we need to use Bitcoin instead of banks and make bankers go out and get a productive, non-parasitic job for a change. I'm going to stop here and save a little information for the next video. Tell your friends that Bitcoin has more value than the next 54 currencies combined, about 10 times more value. Download a Bitcoin wallet from Coinbase.com, and I'll see you next time.